looking at improving the speed and impact of new technology adoption in aviation.
A very good afternoon to everyone. Almost everyone has air traveling experience every now and then. The experience can be good or bad. We call it bad because of certain delays or poor customer services. Mostly the reason behind it is system outage or system down or poor records in the system. Whatever it is, passengers always end up blaming airlines. Yes, it is airlines' problem. How many of you agree? Okay. My name is Sneha Srivastava, and for the last 5 years I have been business technology analyst and project lead at Flythewhile, looking to evaluations till implementation of airline critical systems. My colleague Javed Razvi, senior manager, revenue management, I will share the presentation and also enlighten us to this in-depth industry knowledge. This session is to highlight the gaps between the technological advancement and technological adoption within aviation. We are only touching the e-commerce area. Towards the end of the presentation, you'll have learned that what are the challenges faced by airlines while implementing the systems. Also, we recommend to the industry as a whole that how to increase the speed of new technology adoption within aviation. Obviously, we are not giving any magical wand, but yes, we have jotted down some significant points together. Looking quickly to the agenda, airline industry key functions, top challenges in aviation, root causes, technological advances, technology adoption status, gaps, bridging the gaps, recommendations. I'll call Javed to take us ahead.
Thank you, Sneha. Good afternoon. We first start off by looking at what the key functions in our view are in the airline industry as such. So we start off with security and compliance. We know the legal requirements that the industry has to fulfill. Then we look at the commercial aspects, which are obviously why the airlines are operating, to make some money for themselves as well. The operational functions of the industry and obviously the financials. So broadly speaking, these are the key functions of the airline industry in our opinion, not that it's the complete list. What are the typical kind of challenges that the industry is facing? And again, this is not a laundry list, it's not an exhaustive list. Probably the few that we could come up with. The first being forecasting accuracy. Being from revenue management myself, it is a key challenge that we face every day. There are IT systems out there from leading vendors, but then still the accuracy levels are not great across the network. You will have some markets where the demand accuracy is fairly good. There are others where the demand accuracy is lagging far behind. In today's industry, the business models are kind of smudged. What I mean by that is we no longer have a very clear demarcation in terms of business models for low-cost carrier, a full-fledged service carrier. So you have business models that have got smudged. So if you look at the West, there are airlines which are operating in like a hybrid model. We ourselves in this region believe we are in a true hybrid model ourselves. There are challenges in terms of how the product offerings are across the sales channels. Airlines have a certain kind of a product offering that they do on the direct channels, but when it comes to the indirect channels, there are mismatches. There are contractual reasons for it, there are technology reasons for it, but technology reasons are probably more prevalent than the contractual reasons. Disruptions is a nightmare for an airline to handle. Whenever it happens, whether it's in their control or beyond their control, there are a lot of aspects that go into managing disruptions well, which is again a challenge. From an operational standpoint, getting real-time data is a challenge. Getting accuracy in terms of how much fuel is consumed, what the fuel prices are going to be, and predicting some of this is a challenge. Automation, both the great air and ground aspects. Financially, or in the finance scheme of things, vendor overpayments. What we mean by that is we are not able to accurately track to the minutest detail and pay the right amount of money. We end up paying money in excess sometimes to vendors of the industry. Interline billing and settlement, again, there are standards in place, there are mechanisms in place, but technology can drive much more. Right now, we believe that there is a large potential there for improvement. Credit card fraud and other exchange rate risks are again in the financial space. Compliance, we have landing rights as a major challenge, and obviously the laws. We try to decipher and look deeper to see what could be the kind of causes, and we've kind of classified them into three broad areas: things that are controllable, things that are predictive, and things that are not entirely in anybody's control. So the first one is talk about uncontrollable factors that could cause these challenges in the industry. There are certain predictive factors, for example, the economic downturn. How can I going to predict that there are, if you look at trends and so on, we can make probably a prediction as to what's going to happen to the GDP of a country. But again, that's based on models and so on. It's not an accurate science. But however, there are controllable factors that are there for airlines, which they can do something about and get out of their challenges. Operational efficiency and operational planning, optimization of route planning, real-time data performance analytics, and obviously look at what technology has to offer, where technology is taking the other verticals in the world, and how aviation could benefit from something. So I'll leave it over to Sneha to pick it up from here.
Thanks, Ravi. So now that we have noted that not all factors are controllable, so it is always recommended to the airlines to be vigilant rather than complacent. And we have few measures listed down there. Obviously, it's recommended to everyone. Optimized network to manage passenger traffic, efficient flight planning to increase fuel efficiency, regulated and automated processes, effective segmentation and flexible pricing strategy. And the last one, research technological advances and work on its effective adoption. This was important because without having a proper system in place, nothing is possible. So looking to the advances happening currently, only in e-commerce and passenger services area. Big data, it uses inductive stats and concepts from non-linear system identification to infer laws such as regressions. Just to give an example, this is something to identify the consumer behavior. Say suppose until a passenger has booked a ticket, the records doesn't get into the system. So if I have gone to a website and I'm checking a fare for a particular sector for n number of times but not booking it, so back office IT system will not be able to record it. But big data has made it possible to observe the consumer trends and consumer behavior on the website. NDC, New Distribution Capability, is now all new travel industry supported program launched by IATA, proposed by IATA, and it's developing market adoption of a new XML based data which will be completely secure as well. It will basically allow us to product differentiation and time to market. Also, it will give us access to full and rich air content, transparent shopping experience as well. Well, this is just a concept as of now. The project plan and directions are yet to be proposed by IATA. Coming to EMD, it's not a new term anymore. Electronic miscellaneous document is an IATA standard for electronically documenting ancillary revenue. That is, documenting all other sales and transactions between airlines and passengers besides electronic ticketing. It is an important step toward moving the airline industry to purely electronic transaction in the business to consumer context. EMD is also part of e-services project launched by IATA. Coming to e-services, it's an end-to-end 100% EMD to facilitate sales, fulfillment and collection of ancillary services through all distribution channels. Talking about GDS here, our major IT system providers working on airline EMD and e-services project are Amadeus, Farlogic, Sabre, Sita, Travelport, to name a few. This remarkably looks very simple. So why not industry is adopting it as expected? Let us see industry status as of now in terms of technology adoption. Technology adoption status. In 2004, IATA Board of Governors set the end of 2007 as the deadline for airlines to make the transition to 100% electronic ticketing. But the industry was unable to comply with the IATA mandate and paper tickets remain in circulation until February 2009. Also, EMD is not yet fully implemented as of June 2014. So it takes 2004 to set the vision to run until 2014 and yet not compliant. Of course, more than 90% of digital data in the world is created in the last 2 years. Again, talking about EMT, use of EMT is not implemented for 30 to 50% of industry yet. This is one of the charts pulled from IATA June 2014 report that says that it's slowly progressing. It's very gradual in terms of penetration. We'll have a closer look at EMD status. So again, on to the point, the vision that was set in 2004, initial deadline was given as 2007, which was not achieved. Of course, there were recessions, economic downturn, understand. But the deadline was moved to 2010. Again, it was not accomplished until 2013. In 2014, the latest report that has come from IATA in June 2014 says that EMD deployment is still in progress with 32 airlines. This is again a statistic report from IATA, wherein we see the 32 airlines are still in progress, which have picked up this project like back in 2007 to 2010, are still working on it. 12 airlines are obviously with no plan for EMT or alternatives. We recognize there's an underlying problem, which is something else, and definitely it is not given in detail in our paper. Due to confidential reasons, we haven't published the full result. Airline industry always struggles to make money and almost always at the verge of break-even. Operating margins are just 2.9% hardly. We are very poor as an industry when it comes to profitability. So when we talk about the airlines, from their viewpoint, the analysis of business case in our paper indicates that one key challenge to adoption is that shareholders of airlines over the recent technology evolution period, that is between 2004 to 2014, have seen little or no return to compensate them for their risk-taking in investing in new technologies. The prime reason for investment decisions being rejected are say, uncertainty over future profit streams or the opportunity to delay, basically to defer the decision to invest in particular technology. Just to give you an example, a proposal or any new system implementation, the upfront cost that comes as a proposal is just half the cost of an aircraft that budget airlines run. So few jotted points are revenue profitability, return on investment, payback period. Basically the return on investment payback period goes up till 5 years, and longer the payback period, more the risk is. Untested technology and challenges increases operational cost. Over the past 40 years, the net post-tax profit of the airline industry worldwide has averaged only 0.1% of revenues, but it is time to realize the real root cause and treat it accordingly. Coming on to the gaps as a challenge and what airlines faces. While we understand what is the real resistance to invest in technology, we find three important points. IT solutions, product model does not fit different type of airline business model. Like just Javed pointed out, we have, earlier it was only legacy airlines who were running across, but now we have a penetration of low cost and hybrid airlines as well. So it's kind of smushed business models. But the solutions available are not still catering to all aspects of different business models. Untested technology and emerging challenges and cost. So at times we figure out that certain modules are not provided which are asked, and also there are compatibility issues which comes with the system. So when system is evaluated, we do not realize that it's one of the problem area, but when it is bought, later we realize it's one of the untested areas. And then we run into operational cost. Solution providers' proposed commercials do not fit the financial models of most of the airlines, especially the budget airlines. As I told you, upfront cost, the capital investment that is required for a good solution is almost half the price of an aircraft. What we are proposing here is we have applied a push-pull strategy. Basically, this business theory, where there is a gap between the willingness of aviation IT suppliers to push new technologies to airlines and the airlines' willingness to adopt these new technologies. A push means that a new product or invention is pushed through production functions onto the user without proper research or consideration of whether or not it satisfies a user demand. In contrast, an innovation based upon user demand pull has been developed or produced by the functions in response to an identified user need. This is also based upon push and pull strategy. Explaining this further, we want to claim how industry needs customer, how the system design is controlled. Basically, it's not controlled. More airline conferences and forums are required to stay closely connected and share and learn from each other, of course. Let's quickly call Javed for the recommendations.
Comes to the final summary, I guess. Like Sneha time and time again mentioned, it's not just the airlines who need to act, it's the industry as a whole that needs to pitch in. Just a couple of points, most of them already been covered in the previous slides we presented. We want to we propose to say that the industry needs to play a wider role. There should be committees that have wider representation from all aspects of the industry, including the airlines themselves and all kinds of airlines. Now, airlines themselves, there are plenty of airlines that have their dedicated IT divisions, which do a lot of research themselves and then provide internal solutions. But knowledge sharing across the industry is not much. So we propose to have knowledge sharing sessions where airlines can come together and share their experiences. Thank you for your time and attention. That's all we are open for questions.
Any questions?
Thank you for the presentation. You talked about big data and you talked about customer-centric approach. From my experience in booking airline tickets, I've seen that big data is being used to monitor the buyers a number of times. As you said, a number of times we look at the same route again and again. And in my experience, the fare has only increased. That means it's bad for the customer and good for the airline. How does this fit into a customer-centric big data approach?
Well, big data analytics can also look at what the customer does in the social media, for example, what kind of itineraries or habits or likes and dislikes do they have, and try to link that up to the kind of itineraries you have to offer. So that becomes your customer-centric approach. For example, if you have been on the social media talking about leisure destinations, I as an airline can pitch that across to you to say, here I have, these are my list of destinations which could be of use to you if you're looking for your next vacation. So I tie that up, I use a technology that ties up your searches on the web on different things, and then marry it up to what I have as a product to offer, and then present it across as a customer individualized to you offering.
Thank you very much for the presentation. My question is probably some sort of touches a technicality maybe, but also raises a wider issue of the cooperation within the airline industry of airlines such as full-cost legacy carriers and low-cost carriers such as Emirates and Fly Dubai, and their ability to offer an itinerary with one fare from origin to destination, and this requires, I suppose, IT platforms and revenue management systems which are complex. It seemed to be achievable when the industry was very structured and organized, and when it starts to be much more flexible, and what solution does the industry offer, such as, in terms of itineraries and revenue and fares?
Again, I'm not sure if I got the question completely correctly, but if you're talking about bilateral relationship between airlines and interlines, arrangement between them, which would then make it possible for a passenger to be offered a through solution to his origin to destination, encompassing various airlines in the process. Such offerings are there. But what becomes difficult is how the revenue share for that is going to happen, how technically you're going to manage that seamlessly, both for the passengers at the time of booking, at the time of the service offering, which is to the airports and the terminals, and finally the fulfillment for the airlines in the form of revenue. So the challenges around that, there are obviously industry solutions for that already in place, and there are gaps that essentially, which we talked about, referred to a little bit, which need to be addressed. Go ahead.
So practically, how does Emirates and Fly Dubai work together, for instance, in that matter?
Yeah, I don't know how much of that information specifically with respect to these two airlines I'll be able to share. We are in our individual capacities here, but yeah, we'll share our knowledge. So typically, we would get into like an interline arrangement. We would need to be participating in the GDS, we need to be participating in the BSP. We can have, for example, if you have technical limitations on one side of the arrangement, then you could go for a unilateral kind of an arrangement, and then help the passenger seamlessly book A to B without realizing what the underlying equations are.
Okay, thank you very much, Sneha and Javid.
Thank you.
And our final presentation.